Well, well, well. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? Let's see what we got today. And who's in here today? I'm going to get my notes for a second, going to check if everything is alright. I can see myself, so that's good. And I believe the mic is on, so that's also good. So I just want to do another quick little live stream for you today because, well, I'm still working on my program about investing for beginners in Dutch. I actually recently, just like half an hour ago, I finished my last video for this program. The program is going to contain, I think 104 videos, usually short ones. I believe the shortest one is like 30 seconds and the longest one is like 15 minutes. And I think it's going to be like 6.5 hours in total or something like that. So it's going to be very exciting. In August, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be thinking about my strategy to market this program for, well, basically Dutch people, of course. And yeah, I'm likely going to get the help from some outside people who know a lot about marketing, way more than I do. So I'm going to be working on that in August. And then I believe in September, I think I'm going to start marketing the program. So I'm going to be, quite busy with that, probably doing webinars and all kinds of that stuff, that kind of stuff. So that's going to be very exciting. And somewhere, at the end of August, I'm going to be away for about 10 days, more or less, to take some more holidays to, get ready for that beautiful boost in September. So that's what I'm currently working on, the program. So far it's going well. Still need to do a few little things to change everything, but it's going well for sure. And I think I'm actually going to go back to my regular schedule from next week on, which basically means that I'm going to start creating regular videos again, or I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be regular videos, but I do want to do just like 3 videos per week at least on this channel, and probably also like 2 or potentially 3 videos on my Dutch channel as well. And currently I'm actually thinking about whether I want to go back to doing regular videos, so just like 10-minute videos, for example. Sorry about that. Or if I want to do live streams, and that could be, well, a little bit like the following. What I could be doing is I could be choosing a topic, do the entire live stream about that topic, and then for the first 10 minutes or something like that, I could be just talking as if it were a regular video, and then after those 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, I would be chatting with you, the audience out there, about that topic. So I'm not entirely sure which thing I'm going to choose, if I'm going to go for the regular videos or the live streams, because both have some benefits, both have some disadvantages, and I just need to list them down and create a little list of the possible advantages and disadvantages of both of these options. So if you have any thoughts about that, let me know, of course, in the comments or maybe in the chat right now if you're here. If you have any good feedback on that, I'll probably also run a poll on my community tab a little bit later on, so you can give your opinion about that matter. Okay, so let's get into the stuff today, shall we? I'm going to talk a little bit about the general market because I'm just going to look at the technical analysis for the general stock market to check out some things that might indicate that we might see a top quite soon, honestly. So yeah, I'm just going to give you my thoughts about that. Also going to talk a little bit about the earnings calls of at least Crispr Therapeutics and also Upwork. And then I'll likely take a quick look, or well, I can do a quick look at Bitcoin before I'm actually going to talk about these earnings calls, because I do think that's a little bit more relevant and a little bit more similar to what we're going to discuss in a second. So I'm going to take a sip of my water, and then I'm going to talk about the technical analysis for the general market. And meanwhile, if you're in here, let me know how are you doing today. Where are you from? Let me know. Okay, so the general market. I am right now looking at the chart of SPY, the ETF for the S&P 500, or at least one of the many ETFs for the S&P 500. And we are looking at the daily chart. And I think one of the most important things that I want to take a look at right now is the bearish divergence we have going on right now. So if I zoom in a little bit, I'm going to try to hopefully make this a little bit clear. We have basically been an uptrend since forever. This market seems to be in a market that just never goes down. The last time we had a major down move was back in last year, October 2020. We did, of course, have this beautiful move to the downside as well. But I mean, how much percent was this? If you put it from candlestick closure to candlestick closure, it's like 4.5%. So that's nothing too big in my opinion. And apart from that, we're basically just going up in a straight line almost. So it's kind of crazy. So we are still making higher lows. We are still making higher highs. You can see a low over here, a higher low, higher low. And you can see a high over here, a higher high, and a higher high, and a higher high over here. The thing is, however, if you look at the RSI, and the RSI is one of the, well, in my opinion, one of the most powerful indicators, you can see bearish divergence happening over here. And bearish divergence basically means that the indicator is making lower highs and the stock price, or in this case the ETF price, is making higher highs. So you have divergence because the one thing is going up and the other thing is going down. And in this case the indicator is going down, which shows that the momentum seems to be waning a little bit, and we might experience a little bit of downside in the next couple of weeks, in my personal opinion. So that is one of these signals that I can see on the daily chart right now. And if you go to the weekly chart, which definitely is a higher time frame, you can very well see that we have almost gone up in a straight line. It's quite insane to see, especially if you zoom out a little bit. I mean, this is a chart since, well, basically 2002, if we put it like this. So you can see that we had a nice little run up, we went down, we had a nice little run up, and the slope of this run up was more or less the same as here. Here, in this part between, like, what was it, like 2016 and 2018, the slope seems to be a little bit more aggressive. And now, yeah, if you look at the slope of the chart right now, you can see it's super duper aggressive. It's just going up to the moon and never really seems to come back down. So that's something I'm a little bit worried about. Something else I'm worried about is the following, because if you look at the price action, we are right now over here, so around at the $438 level. If you look at the price action right now and you compare that to this white line over here, which is the so-called 55 exponential moving average, you can see the following. If we zoom in a little bit, and let's go a little bit back in time, you can see this. Okay, we are here in 2010. Price action is going up, up, up. And then comes down to this white line over here, the 55 EMA, and actually crosses below it, goes to the 200 EMA, but that's not really relevant for now. We're looking at the 55 EMA. Maybe I should make it a little bit more clear to show you what I'm talking about. I can actually get rid of a few lines for now. So let's get rid of those lines for you. And let's also hide this line. Okay, so we're only looking at the white line, okay? As you can see, price action goes up here, comes back down to the white line. Goes back up, comes back down to the white line. Here it stays relatively close to that white line. Yeah, we don't really have a lot of divergence between the white line, the 55 EMA, and price action. But at some point we do again go back to that white line and we touch it and we go back to the upside. And that happens again here, happens again here. Here we actually go a little bit lower. Here we are in an uptrend again, up to the white line, up, white line, up, white line. Up, white line. So this continues to go on and on and on and on and on until we see the coronavirus dump. Now the coronavirus dump is one very interesting thing because, as you can see, there's quite a lot of divergence, quite a big gap between price action over here back in February 2020. So basically on like 10 and well, the 18th of February 2020, you see a large gap between the price action and this white line over here. And that also leads to the fact that afterwards we had a very nasty, sharp decline to the downside. That was, of course, also because of the coronavirus, but I kind of think that the technical analysis also had to do a little bit with it, because usually when we see a larger divergence between the price action and the 55 EMA, the movement to the downside is usually a little bit more aggressive as well. And that is exactly what we're experiencing at this very, very moment. Because as you can see, the divergence, the gap between the price action and the 55 EMA, the white line over here, is very, very big at this moment. It's basically the biggest we have seen in, like, I don't know, maybe 10 years or maybe ever. I haven't really back tested this, but maybe even ever, you know? So it's kind of scary that at some point we can definitely have a very big move back to that white line, as we have basically always been doing in the past. Of course, this white line is going to continue to the upside if price action is going to stay up here, or if it's going to go higher, for example. So it will continue to go to the upside. But let's say, for example, that if we would now have that correction to the downside from the price action where we are right now back to that white line, that would be like 12% down. And that is, of course, quite a big move, especially for an ETF or an index fund like the S&P 500. So that's a little bit what I'm currently looking at. I'm not entirely sure if this bearish divergence on the RSI on the daily chart is going to lead to this massive move to the downside, but honestly, I would not be surprised. And especially if we go below this white line on the daily chart, which would be, well, let's see, about like 2.5%. I think if we're going to start trading below that white line, we can definitely have a larger move to the downside, potentially even going back to that 55 EMA on the weekly chart. So I'm going to take another sip of my water, and then we're going to take a quick look at Bitcoin right now. Okay, so Bitcoin. Right now we see that we are basically touching the resistance. Resistance was created at 40.6 thousand, which basically was created because of this top in January 2021 this year, and also this top in June 2021. And now we seem to be having difficulty breaking through that resistance at $40,600. So what can definitely happen is that we are going to experience some downside in the next couple of days, potentially weeks. I kind of think that we could definitely go a little bit lower to that 55 EMA again that we just have been talking about with the S&P 500, because also in the case of Bitcoin, that has been a quite important line. If you look at the price action, for example, in the past, basically since, well, October 2020, you can see that the price action always tries to come back to that white line. So here price action has a lot of divergence between the white line, the 55 EMA, and the price action. And that is basically what's happening right now with the S&P 500. And then it came down quite aggressively to that white line and then continued its move to the upside. And now we are actually, well, a few weeks ago or even months ago on June the 15th, 2021, we went back to the upside, kind of gotten close to that 55 EMA, but then went to the downside again. And now we actually crossed the 55 EMA. But now the question is, are we going to go below, or are we going to go back down to that 55 EMA, use it as support, and then continue our way up? Because honestly, if you would ask me for my opinion, I kind of do think that Bitcoin will resume its way to the upside. I kind of think it has a lot of momentum, and the technical analysis looks pretty solid, but also the on-chain data looks pretty solid right now as well. But I kind of think that something like this could happen, that we first go back down to that level of the 55 EMA, around like 36,000, 36,500, and then continue our way back to the upside. Potentially to this level over here, which is around $45,000, which is the level where we had a nice little low over here basically in March of this year. So that is something I'm currently looking at to see if that is going to happen or not. And if you go to the 1 hour chart, we also are seeing right now something we haven't seen in about, I think, 9 days, since June 21st. Because since June 21st, if you look at the 1 hour chart, the 1 hour price action has always stayed above the 55 EMA. Again, that 55 EMA is quite an important line, to be very honest with you. It works usually quite well on the weekly, it works quite well on the daily, and in this case we can see that it works quite well on the hourly chart as well. Because every time the price action had a lot of divergence between the white line, between the price action and the white line, we saw that it came back to that white line, uses as support, goes back up, down, support, up, down, support, up, down. And here we were trading within this range between the 55 EMA and this horizontal support, or horizontal resistance rather, at 40.6 thousand. We're just trading below this, almost like a triangle almost, and then we had this breakdown, and now it seems that we are potentially going to trade below the 55 EMA to test a little bit more of downside in the next couple of potentially days, I think. If you look at the 4 hour chart, then you can see some bearish divergence over here. So you can see that the RSI is making lower highs, and the RSI, or the price action, is making higher highs, and the RSI is making lower highs. So that again is bearish divergence, and could definitely lead to a little bit more downside in the next couple of days. So that's basically everything I want to talk about with regards to the stock market and with regards to Bitcoin. Let's very briefly go to two stocks right now. First of all, Crispr Therapeutics. I'm not going to talk about this too much, but yesterday they had in their basically a business update. I can actually pull up my notes from the Discord that I am in, or the Discord I am in, the Discord that I have and that you can be in as well. This is basically my Discord premium. I share all my alerts here. I share when I buy or sell stocks. I share some relevant information. And also I share all of my research for all of these stocks that are on the left-hand side over here. So you can join it for free for 1 month, and then after that it's going to be paid. You can join it by going to nesami.com/discord. And I was also talking a little bit about Crispr Therapeutics over here. And it basically said that they had a very solid revenue, but that was basically because of an upfront payment from a company called Vertex. They had an upfront payment from $900 million collaboration revenue. So this is just a one-time payment. This is not going to be like recurring revenue or anything, but still it does kind of show, just like I said over here, that there's just a lot of money to be made in this sector, because even if you have one payment like this per year of 900 million, then it's already super, super massive, of course. Because yeah, if you look at the price to sales ratio based on this number for Crispr right now, Crispr seems to be a very cheap stock. And they also have quite a lot of money in cash, quite a lot of cash. I didn't even know that, $2.6 billion in cash. So yeah, I was quite happy with that to see that they got a lot of cash waiting around right now. So that's just an interesting thing to see. It looks like Crispr hasn't really reacted strongly to this news. So I'm kind of wondering if we're going to see an upside move from now on. We, of course, have been very close to a kind of like an important support level around $112. We got all the way back down here, created a wick that went all the way down to, let's see, $113 more or less. So we got very close to that support level. So let's see if this news of the earnings call is now going to lead the price action a little bit higher in the next couple of days, weeks, and potentially even months. And then the last thing I'll want to talk about is Upwork. Upwork had their earnings call yesterday as well. Let me actually pull up my notes over here. Let's see, Upwork is over here. So we can see that they have solid growth in especially gross services volume. So basically the amount of volume that's being dealt on the Upwork platform. We do see some decreases in the marketplace take rate. So basically how much percentage Upwork is taking from the gross service volume, I believe. But they do have relatively high expenses for example, the general and administrative costs and also marketing costs, and even a higher net loss compared to Q1. Guidance has been raised a little bit. So overall, the news was a little bit mixed, I would say. There were some good things in there, there were some bad things in there, and ultimately this led the stock to go down a lot. I was actually looking at this stock a few days ago, and I was kind of considering if I should take profits, because we were getting very close, or we were right at the very important support level, or resistance level rather, at $58.50, created by this stop over here and created by this stop over here. So right now we were exactly at that same level, at that resistance level of $58.50, and now got a massive rejection to the downside. But the move to the downside was quite a bit more significant than I thought it would happen. I didn't think the earnings call would lead to a move of this size, that it was going to go down like 12%. So I was kind of like a little bit, surprised by that. But it seems like we are going back up a little bit. So yeah, it's also what I said to my Discord premium members just a while ago. Let's see over here, I think. Yeah, so I said like, I didn't expect a 15% dump, so we might see a few green days to recover some losses next week, because first we were down like 15%, and I do think that was a little bit of an exaggeration. I do think that, I did think that we were going to go up a little bit to at least recover some losses, but yeah, let's see if we're going to go up all the way back to that $58.50 level. I kind of don't think so. If you want my opinion, I kind of think that we might go... Yeah, it's difficult to say without just having looked at this very carefully, but if I look a little bit at the different time frames, we might go back up to like $54 more or less, or maybe a little bit higher, and then potentially continue a little bit of a correction or sideways consolidation. So let's see if that is actually going to work out in the next couple of weeks or not. I think that's basically everything I wanted to say for now. So let's actually very quickly go through the stocks to see if we're missing anything important. Beachbody, I might add a little bit to my swing trade. I started a swing trade a while ago, and we are getting close to a support level, so I might add a little bit to my trade over there. EHang, I added a little bit to my position today because I also think we are getting close to a support level. And we're also going to have an investor day later in August, I believe, in the middle of August, somewhere like that. Tesla is actually green today, which is interesting because I just saw a piece of news that something like exploded or some kind of fire happened somewhere in, I think, Australia. So yeah, it's interesting to see Tesla green. And let's very quickly go to crypto. So Bitcoin is down. Chainlink is doing very well, honestly, compared to the rest of the crypto market right now. I'm kind of wondering if there's any news. I'll check on that later on. But usually crypto, or usually Chainlink, doesn't really perform that well compared to the other altcoins, especially in the last couple of months. Before, it definitely did well compared to the other altcoins. But yeah, in the most recent couple of months, it usually hasn't really outperformed the other altcoins. So kind of wondering if there's any important news for Chainlink right now. I'll take a look at that later on. So I think with that being said, I'm going to leave you off here. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions for me, let me know. I'll, again, as I said in the beginning of this stream, I'll likely go back to my regular schedule from next week on. Then I'm going to likely do regular videos from like 10 minutes, as you probably have noticed from me for the last couple of months. Or I might do a little bit of a short live stream for a specific topic instead of a live stream like this one, that we first talk in the first like 10 minutes about a certain topic, or at least I talk about it, and then we can chat a little bit afterwards. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or just the regular videos, but yeah, let me know if you have any strong opinions about that. And if you don't, well, I would like to thank you for your time, of course, for being here. I'm going to go back to my program, finish the program, and hopefully have it done this weekend. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.